Hey everybody, it's Mike with the Vanagon Geek, and I am out here in Northern California at beautiful Camp Far West. This is one of our favorite little winter getaways. You don't want to come here in the summer because it gets crazy busy. But this morning I had a little coffee and I started making a list of my favorite interior Westfalia hacks, things that I have done to the interior of my van that are a little different, that have helped us with our organization and just road trip readiness. So figured I'd take a few minutes to go over these top 10. I've got about 20 here, but I'm gonna hit the top 10, and thought you might find it kind of interesting. Let's go take a look. All right, so let's climb up in the van here. I have had this van now for 8 years, I think, 8 or 9 years. And when I first got it, I ripped into it, tore it apart, put a new engine in it, and started making modifications, and it hasn't stopped. We use the van a lot. We sleep in it probably 30, 40 nights a year on average. Over time, we have made a lot of little things. So I'm gonna go over some of my top 10 favorite hacks, starting with this one right behind me. So this here, I went ahead and put a couple little screws in here with some little doohickeys, put in some bungee, and this was originally designed for my guitar. And but we find that I don't always take the guitar on trips with me. I've got a small travel guitar, but it comes in super handy for putting coats, hats, things like that up here. And my travel guitar fits here perfectly. This stays in here year round because we just don't really look out that window, and it does keep a lot of the heat out. And it's a beautiful February day, and it's like 70 degrees outside, and I don't feel any of the sun baking on this side of the van. So super handy. I put them in over here too. Sometimes I keep them in the back window, and then occasionally we'll put them in the front or in the side front windows when we're out in the winter to keep it warm inside. So anyways, Vanagon hack number 1. And here's another one of my favorites. The cabinets. I went ahead and ripped all of the Westfalia cabinets out because as good of a job as they did in designing the Westfalias, there's a lot of little flaws that I didn't care for. One, the fridges are not very efficient, and when you open the door on one of those fridges, the cold air flows right out on the floor. So I opted to remove that, and we use an Engel MT45. It's a great fridge. The nice thing about this is that I camp between my Westfalia and my Jeep, one of my other passions, and that fridge gets moved back and forth. And if we're doing day trips and we don't need it, we take it out. We still got the storage of the cabinets I built. So number 2 is the fridge delete, and in that area we've decided to make this removable. It has magnets on the back of it, so the neat thing is serves as a very functional little prep table. We play games on there a lot. And in here, it's a little messy because we do keep it loaded. We've added pull-out drawers there and there. I was originally going to do something like that up here, and I've left this open because I was going to put a little cap on there, but it's been that way for about 6 years now, and it works perfectly. Nothing ever falls out, and it's just easy, quick access for things. So we leave it there. So that's been super handy. And when we're here at the campsite and we take that off, a lot of times it'll just sit right up here, and it stays there because the magnets hold it in place. So anyways, that is Vanagon hack number 2. All right, since we're on that same topic, we're going to talk about Vanagon hack number 3, 4, and 5. Over in this area, I've still got the table leg here, so we're going to swing that around. Okay, in this area right here, again, another removable cupboard. But as you can see, I have water jugs down in there. The blue one is a 6-gallon. They're both removable. And this is the one made by Dometic, which is the fresh water. So we fill up our fresh water in there. This runs up above here to this guy, and this is our fresh water pump. Now this is just kind of hanging out loosely in here because I just started using it. We haven't really figured out where I want to place it. I'm probably going to put a little magnetic plate back over here so it sits there, but that also gets removed and used in the Jeep sometimes. Right now I'm just got it sticking up here, but these are rechargeable, and there's our fresh water. So I'm going to stick it up there out of the way for now. And the neat thing about having these jugs removable is that when you're at a campground, you're all set up and you run out of water. Well, a lot of times there is fresh water in the campground, but you don't want to have to move your van over to where the fresh water spigot is. With the 6-gallon, I can grab that, walk over, fill it up, bring it back. And on trips where we're going to be out in the middle of nowhere and needing more than that, I can take 2 of those and I'll have 12 gallons of water, and I can still add the other 3 gallons in the Dometic if I want to. So it's just giving us more functionality. So that is Vanagon hack number 3. You're probably wondering, well, what did you do with the space where the water tank used to be? Well, I redid all the cabinets. That area over there is opened up, and the area below that front runner bag right there is now a storage space, kind of like a pantry. So we have a lot of food down in there, a lot of food. It holds a lot of different things. And it's usually like canned goods, things that don't spoil. We'll keep that down in there, and it's fully stocked all the time. So you can see the cabinets, whole different design. I actually moved it out a couple inches too, so you have space behind, which brings me to Vanagon hack number 4. And that is our little spice tray right here. When I brought the cabinets out, let's move that out of the way. I built a little spice tray. It's nice for little bottles of things. And you'll see we got salt and pepper and things like that down in there. It's just another additional thing. It's a little hard to get to sometimes when this is up. And that brings me to Vanagon hack number 5. And that is this guy right here. This is a Cook Partner stove, 17-inch, stainless steel and aluminum mix, expedition stove. The reason why I ditched the Westy stove as good as it was that we like to cook outside when we can, and you can't do that with a Westy stove. So I went ahead, when I redid the cabinets, I built the cabinets around this size of a stove. And these are not, an inexpensive stove. They're a little pricey, but they work really well. They're super simple to maintain and replace parts on if you need to, which I haven't had to. And it also gave me the option then to change the fuel to a 1-pound bottle. So we run the little 1-pound bottles that sits back in here. And again, we can go out, take it outside and camp on a camp table if we want to in nicer weather. So most of the time it stays in here, and I've got it locked in with a wing nut. So all I got to do is undo the wing nut down in there. Whole stove comes out. Pretty handy. So I'm really happy with that. Next one on the list is in the same area, and that is the sink. The Westy sinks are a small little, I want to say it's like a 10-inch round. You're usually using pots bigger than that, and they're hard to wash. It's hard to get your hands in there. By increasing the size of your sink, you increase your functionality quite a bit. And so I sourced this one to fit in this area, and then I included this little, I think it's made by SureFlow, and it's adjustable. You can do all kinds of different angles with it, which is kind of neat. And then it also has a volume control here, water volume. That's not noise volume. But how do you turn it on? Well, that brings me to the next hack. And that is right down here. You can see that little guy right there is a pressure-sensitive switch on-off from a trolling motor. Now, they make the little ones that go in the Westies, which are air actuated. This one is actually pressure sensitive, so we turn that on. Cool thing is it's hands-free, so you can be washing your hands while using your foot to control it. Now, I will say the only downside of that, funny story, is when, say, you're at a gas station getting gas and the dog, that one out there, is inside walking around and accidentally steps on this, and all of a sudden fluid starts dumping out underneath your van as you are filling up your gas tank. That is scary. Luckily, it was just water coming through this and straight out the bottom. So it kind of scared the heck out of me for a moment. But luckily, it was just that. That's the only time that's ever happened. It does have a little cover on it. Check this out in case you want to. You can lock that in the up position. Right now I have it set so it's always on, so but you can lock it into an on position, but you have to kill the power to it. All right, now I still have the table here that came out of this area. You can see it's got a base on the bottom of it, and that base goes right here. And so I designed the table to be a little bit longer, and I'm not gonna be able to do this with one hand, but it sits right there, and that's super handy. I don't always use it if we're just camping someplace in one night. I won't always put it up there, but it's solid oak, a little heavy, and very stout. Those are held in with neodymium magnets. They never fall out. Super strong. I'm very happy with them. All right, so let's go on to the next one, which happens to be right here below me. This is my custom console. I've talked about this, I think, in other videos, but I built this console here. It goes all the way up around the shifter, and a lot of folks will say, oh, well, how do you get through to the back? Well, I'm 6'2", I don't walk through here anyway, so it's a great little storage space. And the neat thing is, you can see I got my wallet, my keys and stuff down there. I have a piece of brown carpet that sits on top of that. So when you run into a store or whatever, if you got things you don't want to leave out, you can throw them in there. The carpet hides it up. It looks just like a normal flooring in there, so people who aren't privy to the Vanagons and how they're made, they think that that's just the floor, so they skip over it. All right, so on to the next thing. How about auxiliary power? This van has a 50 amp hour lithium ion battery down below the driver's seat here. And that has been enough to power my diesel heater, which we'll talk about in a minute, the fridge that I'm sitting on currently, all of our lights, all of our charging. We very rarely run out of power, but I also got a 100 amp hour solar panel up here, which is currently charging the batteries. And we very rarely dip that down into the low range, so it does a really good job. So you can see my solar panel up here. And I use the Camper G mount, made in California. Met that gentleman out on the road. And so you can see here, back behind the seat, I am using a Vanagon. That is the Rover. This is a 20 amp MPPT charge controller. I've got a little junction box going on right there. And then another little charging port over there that I can plug USB or cigarette lighter stuff into, and that's how my fridge is plugged in. But neat thing about the Rover and any of these that have Bluetooth is I can monitor it from my phone. So it's very handy. Next one on the list. It's going to be a little hard to see, but back behind my stereo, which that's a whole nother topic I'm not even going to talk about, that's in another video, is this little guy here. And this is cork material, faux leather, and it has a big magnetic strip in here, and it just sticks to the dash. That has been there for about 6 years now, and that is a super handy spot to stuff your sunglasses, pens, chapstick, whatever while you're driving along. And I absolutely love that thing. That was one of the best investments ever. All right, let's go back inside. So in a few of my videos, I've talked about my diesel heater. And let me tell you a little bit about the diesel heater. We camp mostly in the winter months. And in California, that is not super cold, but it's cold enough, and it can get down into the teens. We camp all around the Sierra, the backside of the Sierra, and like over 395 Bishop area. It's one of our favorite stomping grounds, but it can be down, 10, 15 degrees. And so about 6 years ago, I purchased $160 Chinese diesel heater on eBay, thinking, for that price, if it only works for a year, it's going to pay for itself. So my buddy Guy and I figured out best place to put it, and that was beneath the seat here. And the fuel tank is a 5 liter. I run that in the engine bay. This has a Subaru engine in it, so the right side of the engine bay behind the tail light is empty. So I put a 5 liter, slid it back in there. I'm not going to show you that because I don't want to pull up the bed, but there are some pictures. If you need a picture, just let me know. Comments below. But the diesel heater is right below me, so let's take a look. All right. So as you can see, my battery is down in here. That's for the actual car battery, the engine battery. And then I built this little piece here. So I got my seat belts in case somebody wants to ride along with us. This comes out, and there she blows. This is a 5 kilowatt. I don't remember the brand, but I've got inlets coming in. There's an inlet cut in over here so it can draw air from out here and in here and all around it. And then the outflow is right into here, and you can adjust this. And let me tell you, this thing is extremely hot. It will roast us out of the van. It is so efficient, burns very little fuel, and we love it. We, on a weekend like this, it's so warm, we're not even turning it on, but the controller's right up here, and you just hit the on button, and it just does its thing. You set a temperature, and just let it go. I will say one of the things I've learned with the diesel heaters is that they can soot up. So I read this on some of the forums that before you shut them down, crank them up to high, let them blow out, burn out any soot. That way, when they cool down, they don't doesn't solidify in there. So we've done that all along, and it's been great. Going on, I think, 6 years now. So we've definitely got its money worth, and very happy with it. The newer ones have some other features, has the remote control and stuff. This one doesn't, but it's been fine. I will say there are times when we're cruising in cold weather and it's snowing outside and the heater in the van isn't good enough while we're driving, and I've wanted to be able to turn this on, but crawling back here to do so without the remote's kind of a pain. So if this one craps out, the next one will have a remote. That way I can just go bleep, turn it on, and then we'll have all kinds of heat. So that's the diesel heater. All right, a couple more items to discuss, and that is this chaos right behind me. So I just threw a bunch of clothes and stuff up here, so it's a little messy. But as you can see, this is a little different than most Westfalias. I'm tall. I don't sleep upstairs. We fit downstairs just fine. We're comfortable downstairs. And this area has always just been an area to put our stuff when we're camping. So if we got a gear bag, or we throw an extra blanket, or we want to take off our clothes and just dump them up somewhere, that's what that area is for. We can also keep a lot of things up there. Like I do a little metal detecting. My metal detector fits up here. We put our mat, camping mat, up in this area. It'll hold, we can put our camp chairs up here. It's this deep, so you can fit a lot of stuff in there. Now, so we got rid of the flip out, and I got rid of the mattress. And underneath that is a foam pad, just a thin little foam pad, and I put bungees across in case you need to be able to hold stuff down. And then I put this plate in here with a little cutout so you can still get access to some of the small things while the top is down. But it's been awesome and super simple, easy hack for those of you who don't use your upstairs. And then the flip out bunk I sold to a friend, and made him happy because he didn't have one. So pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not for everybody, but works for us. One of the last things I want to talk about, actually two last things. One is these little magnetic lights from Amazon. I bought a 3-pack of these a few years ago. They're USB rechargeable. They have a motion dusk to dawn feature too, so when it's dark out, they'll come on when there's motion. And they're magnetic backed. That comes with a steel plate in case you don't have metal. But in a van, again, in a Westfalia, you have a lot of places you can stick your lights. And one of my favorites is right up here. It's not super solid there, it will move, but it's a handy spot, especially when you're working over the stove and stuff. So very cool, very handy. Highly recommend picking some of those up. I've had those now for quite a few years and they still work great. Last thing I want to mention is when you are driving, having a place to put your phone. And I'm a big fan of RAM mounts. On the back of my phone, I use the Peak Designs cases, and it's got the little clip back there, magnetic clip. So that's what you'll see up here. I've got 2 RAM balls mounted, one there for my phone. That's when I'll hold a GoPro or an iPad or whatever. I don't have anything connected to it right now. And I've got this little guy here that I made that is just a bent piece of metal that has a magnet on it, so Marie can stick her phone up there and move it around however she wants. But sometimes I'll put it up here, or I've also mounted a magnet there, so you can hold your phone there for charging or whatever. All right, so I think I went over on my top 10. We'll see. And if you have questions, leave comments below. You can reach out to me on Instagram, Ferdinand_the_van as well. Make sure you follow me, subscribe to my channel, and share your hacks with me. There's a million more in here, but I don't want to overwhelm you, and I've given you enough to work on. So, oh, one thing I will mention, I talked about auxiliary power and charging. One additional one that's been super handy is right up here behind me, and that's this guy here. So I went ahead and ran wires back here from my auxiliary battery, cut this out and put it in so I can actually charge stuff back here. So I've got USB ports and 12-volt cigarette lighter ports here. So very handy, because where are you sleeping? Where's your phone? You don't want to have to go all the way up the front to get your phone that's on the charger. So anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys out on the road.